I want you to imagine something. Picture yourself walking into a car dealership at the end of 2021. The showroom is nearly empty. The salesperson informs you that there are no vehicles available. Not today, not next week either. Maybe not for 6 months. If you want to order one, you'll have to pay thousands of dollars above the sticker price. Now here's the part that makes no sense. The factories are still standing. The steel is available. The workers are ready. Everything needed to build a car is readily available. Yet the assembly lines are silent. Millions of incomplete vehicles sit in parking lots across 3 continents waiting for a single missing part. That part costs just $87. It's a semiconductor chip smaller than your fingernail. It's a component so cheap and seemingly insignificant that most people have never heard of it. Yet this tiny piece of silicon brought the global automotive industry to its knees, erasing roughly $50 billion in production value. It exposed a vulnerability so profound that we had to rethink everything we thought we knew about how the modern world works. This is not a story about a chip shortage. It's a story about fragility disguised as efficiency. It's a story about optimization taken so far that it became catastrophic. It all starts with a component that nobody thought twice about. Let me tell you what an automotive microcontroller actually is. You probably think of computer chips as powerful processors, the kind that run your phone or laptop. Fast, expensive, cutting-edge technology. But automotive microcontrollers are nothing like that. They are slow, simple. They are built on technology that is sometimes a decade or more behind the latest consumer electronics. A modern vehicle contains between 1 and 3,000 semiconductor chips. They control your airbags, they control your anti-lock brakes, they control your fuel injection timing and your power windows. They control your power windows and climate control. They control your climate control system too. They even control your entertainment system. Even the switch that turns on your dome light probably has a microcontroller inside. These chips are not glamorous. They operate in harsh environments. Extreme heat, vibration, electrical noise. They must function flawlessly for 10 or 15 years. They cannot fail, ever. When an airbag controller fails, people die. That's why automotive chips are built to a different standard. They undergo more rigorous testing. They undergo more thorough certification. Because they must last so long, automakers do not redesign them frequently. They use proven chips that have passed years of testing. This creates a strange paradox. The automotive industry uses older, simpler chips not because they are inexpensive, but because they are reliable. Because they are reliable, they become invisible. Nobody worries about them. Nobody stockpiles them. Until they disappeared. To understand how this happened, I need to take you back to a manufacturing philosophy that took over in the late 20th century. It's called just-in-time production. The idea is beautiful in its simplicity. Why stockpile parts when suppliers can deliver exactly what you need when you need it? Why tie up capital in warehouses full of inventory when you can reduce storage to nearly zero? Toyota pioneered this approach. For decades, it worked flawlessly. Costs dropped, efficiency soared, profit margins expanded. Every other automaker copied the model. Just-in-time manufacturing became gospel. However, just-in-time manufacturing has a hidden assumption. It assumes that the supply chain will never break. It assumes that suppliers will always deliver. It assumes that nothing ever goes wrong. For years, nothing did. The system operated so smoothly that people forgot it was built on trust. Trust that parts would arrive. Trust that factories would operate. Trust that the entire global supply chain would function like a Swiss watch. Then the pandemic hit. Suddenly, everything stopped. Factories closed. Borders shut down. Shipping slowed to a crawl. Automakers, seeing an economic catastrophe ahead, did what seemed logical. They canceled their chip orders. All of them. Seeing their automotive customers disappear, the chip manufacturers pivoted. They redirected their production lines toward consumer electronics, laptops, game consoles, tablets. Demand for these chips exploded. Semiconductor fabs retooled their production lines and moved on. Then something unexpected happened. Car sales roared back. They recovered faster than anyone predicted. During a pandemic, people did not want to use public transportation. They wanted personal vehicles. Automakers scrambled to restart production. They called their chip suppliers and said, "We need those semiconductors. We need them now." But the chip manufacturers said, "We can't help you." Most people do not understand what semiconductor manufacturing entails. You can't just flip a switch and change what you're producing. These factories, known as fabrication plants or fabs, are among the most complex and expensive structures humanity has ever built. A single advanced fab costs between $10 billion and $20 billion to construct. Inside these buildings, chips are made on silicon wafers through a process involving hundreds of steps. Each step must be executed with near atomic precision. A single speck of dust can ruin an entire wafer. Once a fab is set up to produce a certain type of chip, changing that production is difficult. It requires retooling. Recalibration is necessary. Testing. Time. Months of time. Car companies needed automotive microcontrollers that were being made in older fabs using older technology. These fabs had been using the same designs for years. However, when automakers canceled their orders, those production slots were filled with other products. When the automakers returned, there was no room for them. The factories could not simply kick out the new customers. Those customers had contracts. Even if the fabs wanted to switch back, it would take several quarters to restart automotive chip production. So the automakers waited. While they waited, their factories sat idle. Assembly lines designed to produce thousands of vehicles per day stood silent. The financial damage began to mount. Let me give you a sense of the scale. Ford announced that it would produce 1 million fewer vehicles in 2021 than planned. General Motors idled multiple plants across North America. Volkswagen, Toyota, and Honda all slashed production targets. In some cases, they built cars without certain features. Vehicles rolled off the line without touchscreen displays. They sat incomplete in vast parking lots, waiting for the missing chips to arrive. The financial impact was staggering. Industry analysts estimated that global automakers lost approximately $50 billion in revenue due to the chip shortage in 2021 alone. Consider that ratio. A single missing $87 chip could prevent the completion of a $50,000 vehicle. The bottleneck was not steel, engines, or labor. It was a tiny piece of silicon, representing less than 0.2% of the vehicle's total cost. This is where the economics become fascinating. You can't just pay more money to make a semiconductor fab appear overnight. You can't bribe your way to the front of the production queue once contracts have been signed. The bottleneck was structural. Structural bottlenecks do not respond to money. They require time, coordination, and long-term relationships. We witnessed a crack in the facade of modern capitalism. The idea that everything can be solved with money is an illusion. The idea that markets always clear, that supply chains are elastic and responsive. None of that was true. The realization was terrifying, but I want to go deeper. This is not just a story about logistics. It's a story about why smart people made catastrophic mistakes. Consider the executives who canceled those chip orders in early 2020. These were not fools. They were experienced professionals who, when faced with collapsing demand, made what seemed like a rational decision. They were optimizing. They were doing exactly what business schools teach: cut costs, reduce waste, maximize efficiency. But they forgot something crucial. They forgot that efficiency and resilience are opposites. Each time a buffer is removed, efficiency increases and resilience decreases. Cutting inventory reduces costs, but increases vulnerability. For decades, this trade-off favored efficiency because the world was stable. Suppliers were reliable. Transportation was predictable. The system was optimized for a world where nothing unexpected ever happened. Then the world became unpredictable. Suddenly, the optimization that had generated billions in profits became a liability. The just-in-time system that eliminated waste also eliminated the ability to absorb shocks. The supply chain that had been tuned for maximum efficiency had no slack, zero redundancy, zero forgiveness. When the pandemic disrupted the system, there was no safety net, there was no safety stock, there were no backup suppliers, there was no plan B. There is a geopolitical layer to this story that I cannot ignore. Most of the world's advanced semiconductors are manufactured in just a few places: Taiwan, South Korea. A few fabs are located in the United States and Europe. However, the vast majority of cutting-edge production occurs in Taiwan, specifically at a company called Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC. This creates a terrifying single point of failure. If something were to happen to Taiwan, a significant portion of the world's semiconductor supply would disappear overnight. The recent automotive chip shortage offered a glimpse of what such a disruption would entail.
Governments around the world took notice when the United States passed the CHIPS Act. The United States passed the CHIPS Act. Europe launched its own programs. China accelerated its push for self-sufficiency. They all realized the same truth. Globalization created incredible efficiency and incredible vulnerability. The real lesson is an uncomfortable one. We did not build a resilient system. We built a fragile one. We optimized for efficiency and eliminated redundancy. We stretched supply chains across continents and forgot that any link could fail. The $87 chip did not stop the world because it was expensive. It stopped the world because it was essential, invisible, and irreplaceable. Our global economy is not held together by oil, steel, or money. It is held together by coordination, by trust. It is held together by thousands of tiny components working in silence. We have resources, we have energy, we have capital. What we lack is resilience, the ability to absorb shocks without collapsing. We built a machine that works perfectly as long as nothing goes wrong. When something does go wrong, however, everything stops. The next time you see a car, remember what's hidden inside. Thousands of tiny chips made by a global network that no one ever thinks about until something breaks. The $87 chip was not an anomaly. It was a warning.